This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefrevane series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates and Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 3, Ashes. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. It is not intended for children or young teens. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 9.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Height. I'm the managing editor of Flying Island Press's Pirates Cove. Flying Island Press produces anthologies, not only using, but embracing all of the 21st century's distribution models. Flying Island Press, taking fiction where you want to go. Previously, on the Cowry Catchers podcast, Gerard and Silvio returned to the camp to find a dead elephant seal beside the fire pit and a wyvern in the cabin. The wyvern is Dakar. Gerard and Silvio learn that the wyverns are shapeshifters. In addition, Dakar reveals that she is only about 10 years old. She took an adult form because she had never seen other children and didn't know what she was supposed to look like. Suddenly, Dakar's behavior makes a lot more sense to Gerard. Silvio empathizes with Dakar's strange upbringing. He's increasingly open about details of his own childhood, past relationships, and motive.
Chapter 25. Thank You, and I'm Sorry. That night, Gerard woke to the sound of a low, persistent whine. He sat up. Dakar was not in the cabin. The air in the room had cooled enough that he guessed it must be just before dawn. That whine.
Silvio?
He was twisted into a knot of blankets and clothing, fists clenched, jaw locked. Gerard shook him, and he woke with a sound like he was trying to swallow all the air in the room. He sat up and rocked back and forth for a moment, with the heels of his hands pressed to his face.
Gerard, I'm sorry.
Gerard sat down beside him.
It's all right. Do you want me to pick you up?
Silvio shook his head.
Not right now.
Gerard tried to smile.
I think that's the second sorry I've heard from you. You must need to be drunk or sleepy.
Gerard got the fire going again, and after a moment, Silvio untangled himself from his blankets and came over to get warm.
Sorry actually means something to you, doesn't it?
Yes. Why don't you ever say it? I know you're sorry for things. You go to the most elaborate measures to show it.
Silvio was quiet for so long that Gerard thought he might have fallen asleep sitting there. Finally, he said,
My mother used to say she was sorry, and I always thought, if you were, you'd stop hurting me.
He was already huddled into a ball, but he curled even tighter.
I say I was 6 when it started, but that's only because 6 is my first clear memory. I can't ever remember not knowing what was expected when she shoved me into a room with some stranger. She'd say, I'm sorry, Sylvie.
Gerard leaned forward and picked him up. Silvio squirmed.
I'm all right. I don't need that. I'm all right.
Then his whole body convulsed on a sob. Gerard held on to him. Silvio buried his face against Gerard's shoulder. He wouldn't have been able to speak with his mouth, but his voice came through clearly in Gerard's head.
Afterward, she'd say, thank you. Like I'd taken out the trash for her or made dinner. Thank you, Sylvie, for putting your mouth on some drunk bastard and letting him touch you all over so I can lie on the floor and smoke sweet leaf and forget everything. No problem, Mother. You're welcome.
Gerard held him tighter.
Stop.
So,
continued Silvio,
thank you, and I'm sorry, just don't seem very meaningful to me. I have found please to be a useful word. Please don't hurt me. Worked pretty well sometimes.
Enough.
growled Gerard. Pain was radiating off Silvio like heat off a furnace, a white-hot ember of torment that seeped through the bridge Dakar had created. Gerard wanted to put him down, get as far away from him as possible. But he didn't. He let the pain sit there, looked at it, shared it. After a while, the intensity began to ebb. Silvio raised his head.
I'm being a nuisance again.
You're fine, Silvio.
He sighed and relaxed.
I am, actually. I'm a happy little squirrel right now.
Don't call yourself that.
But it's what I am. I've never really been anything else.
Gerard set him down so that he could face him.
That's completely untrue. You were an excellent admiral. Farrell said the watch wasn't so stable for 50 years before you came. You can throw a knife like nobody I've ever seen. You can do wizardry with navigational instruments. You read and write more languages than anyone else I know, except perhaps Gwaine. You could probably kill me 10 different ways I don't even know about with 10 different substances I've never heard of. You're brilliant, Silvio. And yes, you're pretty, too. And don't do this to yourself.
Silvio looked down at his paws. His face was streaked with tears, and Gerard knew he hated to cry. He tilted Silvio's face up and wiped the tears away with his thumbs. Silvio's eyes promptly filled up again.
Can I just be your squirrel for now, Gerard? I'm too tired to be anything else. It hurts too much.
Gerard took a deep breath.
I'm not completely sure what you mean by squirrel, and I'm afraid to ask. Silvio, there's a word for what you want, and the word is cuddle.
Silvio bit his lip.
You keep pushing the limits of this relationship, and I'm not sure I can be what you want, but I think I can just about handle cuddle.
I really did want to be able to sleep alone.
I know, but this is just too soon. We'll try again later.
The room was getting warmer, and it was still dark outside.
Do you want to go back to bed?
Chapter 26. More Dreams. Gerard woke by degrees. He was walking in a corridor of some ancient, musty building. He saw doors to his left every few paces, all numbered, all closed. The floor and walls were dingy with cheap lamp soot. There was a smell of sweat and urine and incense and cheap scent. He didn't want to touch anything. It looked like the kind of place you could get lice or fleas. In the light of the smoky lamps, he saw a stairway at the end of the hall, and beneath the stairwell, a couple of children. They paid no attention to Gerard as he approached. They were foxlings, a boy and girl, both with white fur and hair. They looked tiny, but Gerard guessed from their proportions that they were probably 7 or 8. They were skinny as broom handles, and they had almost nothing on except jewelry. Brightly colored earrings with stones that were probably glass, bangles, bells in their tails. The girl was wearing a garish necklace that even Gerard's untrained eye could identify as fake lapis. The boy was wearing a choker of purple velvet studded with pearls, and matching purple velvet gloves with the fingers cut out. His hair was braided with purple ribbon and bells, but it looked a little messy. The girl had bright red boots, trimmed with bells and feathers. Their eyes were extravagantly painted, the kohl flaring out past the edges in curlicues. Children of this age often went naked at the beach in warm weather, but their jewelry and accessories made them seem more naked rather than less. The boy was pressed into the corner of the stairwell, and he looked like he'd been crying. His kohl was smeared a little, and the girl was trying to fix it.
"Sylvie, what happened?"
she whispered.
"Was it edible parts? Did he hurt you?"
The child that was Silvio shook his head.
"Not much, but I think I'm in trouble."
He tried to push her away.
"Go on, Nix, before he sees you."
Sylvie Lemire!
A grating voice bellowed from down the hall. Gerard turned to see a tall, thin Grishnard with a beak-like nose and permanent scowl lines etched around his mouth and forehead. He was wearing a gray suit of moderately expensive cut and several gaudy rings. He didn't seem to see Gerard as he stormed up the hall towards the children. Nix and Silvio both backed into the shadow of the stairwell, but he dragged them out, each by an ear. He had long, spidery fingers that looked made for pinching.
Stupid little cunts. If you two were worth a few calories less, I'd skin you both and turn you into bed pillows. I might get more use out of you.
He gave Nyx's ear a vicious twist before shoving her away.
You, room 5, now.
He turned to Silvio and gave him an open-handed smack across the face that sent him sprawling.
You are going back in there and putting that mouth of yours to good use. And I don't mean talk. Not a word, not a single word. Do you understand?
Silvio nodded. He kept his eyes on the floor.
Get up!
Silvio obeyed.
Have you been crying?
Snarled his master, and raised his hand as though to hit him again. Silvio flinched. The brothel owner bent, ran the hand through Silvio's hair instead, got a fistful, and tilted the child's face up.
Oh, gods, I'm the only one who should be crying with sorry chits like you earning our meat.
He licked his finger and fixed Silvio's coal with rough strokes of his thumb.
Listen, Sylvie, you're still new, so I'll give you a hint. There's nothing uglier than a kid with a red puffy face and a runny nose. 1 or 2 tears? That's cute, kind of sweet, but crying is ugly, and clients want to look at pretty. They'll find other things to do with ugly kids. You want to make them like looking at you, puppy, because I won't always be there to keep them from hurting you. Understand?
He let go of the child's hair. Silvio nodded. He wiped his nose on his glove.
I'm tired.
He whispered.
I've done more than anybody today.
I'm tired. Wait till you're 12, brat. You haven't even started work. Be glad you're high rent, and get back in that room.
He has done more than anyone,
Piped up Nyx. She hadn't moved.
I'll finish in his room.
The brothel owner turned with a look of fury,
You'll do as you're told if you want to eat tomorrow.
and he lashed out with his paw, kicking her in the belly so hard that she flew across the hall and smacked into the wall with a sharp tinkle of bells. Silvio ran to her, but the brothel owner caught him by the scruff and shook him. Silvio was so small, no bigger than that foxling Gerard had rescued from Alcere on the pier. He let out a strangled scream. Gerard thought his neck would break.
I can't watch this.
Gerard stepped forward, reaching with all his willpower to be real. And suddenly he had the brothel owner by the throat, pinned against the wall. The Schelt was staring at him in perfect astonishment.
Drop him!
Snarled Gerard, and Silvio slithered to the ground at his feet. The brothel owner tried to speak, but Gerard was choking him. Silvio stared up at them.
Gerard,
He whispered, and suddenly Gerard understood.
Silvio, wake up! Wake up!
Then they were both waking, swimming out of the darkness into the warm firelight of the cabin. Silvio had his arms locked around Gerard's neck, breathing in ragged gulps. Gerard was rubbing his back.
Shh, shh. Just a dream, just a dream.
He sat up, but Silvio didn't want to let go.
how did you do that?
I don't know. I'm guessing it has something to do with Dakar's bridge. Was that one of your nightmares?
Silvio shook his head.
Just a bad dream. Bad memory.
Gerard held him tighter.
Oh, Silvio.
He settled Silvio's legs across his lap in a more comfortable position.
You were a cute kid. With the saddest eyes in the world.
Silvio gave a shaky laugh that ended in a hiccup.
I wasn't exactly at my best.
Crying doesn't make you ugly. Nothing could make you ugly, Silvio.
Silvio slid down and rested his head against Gerard's chest. Deliberately, he unlocked one of his fists from the fabric of Gerard's shirt, leaving a damp wad of cloth.
Gerard, you are patient beyond all reason.
He smoothed the fabric with his hand.
You got to see Nyx. I wish we could have taken her with us.
So do I.
They were quiet for a while, and Silvio's breathing returned to normal. At last, Silvio murmured,
I killed him. My master. He died screaming, but he doesn't stay dead. He comes back over and over. All of them do.
Gerard tucked Silvio's head under his chin and rocked back and forth. Silvio let out a long sigh. He was perfectly relaxed now. Outside, Gerard could hear morning birds beginning to sing.
You said that was a memory. It really happened.
Silvio nodded.
The customer. Nix and I called him Edible Parts because he'd say things like, "Are you hungry, kid?" or "Want some candy?" before shoving his cock in our mouths. That day I was really tired, and he said that. And I proceeded to explain that, yes, I was hungry, and frankly, semen on an empty stomach makes me nauseous, and furthermore, his didn't taste like candy so much as rusty nails soaked in cat piss.
Gerard laughed. He could just as easily have cried. Silvio smiled against his chest.
Which was all true, but it wasn't very sexy. He was so angry that he picked me up by the hair and shook me. My mother had disappeared maybe a red month ago, so I wasn't quite used to things like that, and it scared me. I ran out of the room and hid under the stairwell. Nix found me, and then I guess you saw what happened next.
Did the owner make you go back in?
Silvio nodded.
Edible Parts was pretty angry. He said if I didn't like his cum, he could give me something else from the same hole, and he peed in a cup and made me drink it.
Gerard felt his stomach churn.
Making you sick?
Yes, but I still want to hear what happened.
Silvio shrugged.
I threw up. Edible Parts thought that was really funny. He made me finish him off, and he left in a good mood. Happy ending.
Anything but. Did you kill him later?
No. Rumor was he drowned himself a year or two later. He wasn't a very happy person.
Gerard couldn't imagine how any of the inhabitants of the squalid world he'd visited in Silvio's dream could have been happy people. Silvio gave a little giggle.
We used to call the owner Master Rice Bottom, since he had these bouts of tapeworms and he was always looking for a cure.
Silvio grinned up at Gerard's blank expression.
Ever had tapeworms, Gerard? Of course you haven't. No, please don't apologize.
I wasn't actually going to.
If we eat enough poorly cooked game, you might get to have the experience. Basically, the worms live in your guts and share your food, so you have a hard time putting on weight. I've always had a little trouble with that because I have to run twice as fast as everyone else to keep up, and it was worse when I was a kid. Sometimes with bigger, healthier shelts, no one notices. Until the rice appears.
This is going to make me sick again, isn't it?
Silvio snickered.
The rice, of course, is the little worms that start crawling out your backside. They look kind of like grains of rice and shed onto anywhere you sit. Customers tend to find that sort of thing extremely unattractive. So the moment we showed signs, we got violent dewormers that would have us sitting on the privy, vomiting into the bucket for a day. Worms out both ends, and then you were done until the next round.
Gerard thought of how he complained of the occasional mild flea soap that his tutors had insisted upon.
That's horrible, Silvio.
Silvio nodded.
The master wouldn't use those caustic poisons he gave us, but he was continually trying gentler treatments on himself and buying all kinds of nonsense from cheap healers. He fancied himself an aristocrat, and it just killed him to start shedding tapeworms everywhere. Sometimes he got so bad that little rice worms would start falling out the bottoms of his pant legs, leaving a little trail where he'd been walking.
Gerard made a face.
That's disgusting, Silvio.
Silvio flipped his tail.
I suspect the master got his tapeworms from using the same privy we did, and of course we were getting them from eating raw rats, so he might have avoided the whole thing by feeding us properly. Nix and I were continually on short rations for one offense or another. Our master really wasn't very bright. Malpin told me years later that tapeworms and fleas usually go together, so maybe he should have been de-fleeing us. Gods know we had our share of fleas.
Outside, it had started to rain. Gerard suspected it would be one of those warm rains that heralded the spring.
Maybe the snow will melt. Maybe we can start walking toward Zorn.
He thought Silvio had fallen asleep again, but then he said,
Kids can be so stupid. When you're that age, you want to believe adults are on your side, that they care about you, at least a little, especially the ones who feed you and put a roof over your head. Even when all the facts insist that the adults in your life aren't your friends, you want to think they are, or they would be, if you just did the right thing.
Gerard petted Silvio's hair. He stopped when he thought about what he was doing. Silvio didn't seem to notice.
At the beginning, when Mother and I were still living in a shack down the street, he'd bring little gifts when he came to take her to the brothel in the evenings. He'd give me jewelry and gloves and feathers and bells, shinies. I didn't know adults thought I looked erotic wearing them. I just knew they were bright and pretty. I didn't have anything bright or pretty. I tried so hard to please him. I started taking the dangerous customers to impress him. I wanted him to like me, and he'd give me just enough kindness to keep me hoping for a little more. When he hit me or called me names, I thought it was my fault because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I tried so hard to please him until he killed Nix. I never forgave him for that.
Silvio shook himself suddenly and struggled to his feet.
Gerard, I've got more sad stories than even you have patience. You start tugging on a bit of thread, and the whole ugly mess unravels in your lap. Feel free to interrupt me and talk about something else.
Gerard thought for a moment.
I don't know what the date is, but my birthday should be around this time. On Holvaris, the royal family used to give gifts to the citizens on our birthdays. We'd have a party, and then we'd ride around throwing cowries on the street. Only time my father ever gave away money. Sometimes Jalil would throw them hard enough to hurt a peasant. He thought that was funny. It's no wonder they liked me better.
Silvio smiled.
I never knew when my birthday was. I'm pretty sure my master did. I meant to ask him before I killed him, but I forgot.
He shook his head.
There I go again. Gods, I hate it when I get like this. I'm going running on the beach, Gerard. I used to like doing that. I haven't done it in a long time.
Gerard was surprised.
All right, I think.
Silvio smiled.
I'll stay away from the water. I wasn't joking when I said I'm happy right now. Back in a bit.
Chapter 27. A Stupid Thing to Do. Gerard came out of the cabin and toasted a few strips of seal meat over the outdoor fire for breakfast. Felbane was lying by the fire as usual. He hadn't gone far from the seal since its arrival, and although his stomach looked round, he did not look well. He was lethargic and dull-eyed, and during their brief physical contact, Gerard had been certain he had a fever. As he'd expected, the rain was warm. The stream was running again at its center, and the woods were wet with snowmelt. Gerard went through his katas with his sword. He chopped some firewood, even though they didn't really need it. He tried to pretend he didn't feel anxious about letting Silvio go running on the beach alone after having nightmares.
He's an adult. I can't make his decisions for him.
Still, he let out a sigh of relief when Silvio and Dakar came trooping up the path from the beach together, laughing and carrying several large crabs.
Gerard, look what Dakar showed me.
Silvio's voice came through in bright orange. Gerard couldn't have explained it in any way that made sense, but somehow Silvio was talking in colors. He grinned at Gerard's expression.
It's almost worth losing my tongue to be able to do that.
This time it was vivid green.
That kind of hurts my head, Silvio.
One more.
Gleaming silver.
That's lovely,
said Gerard, trying not to wince.
And it's about to make you sick, isn't it? All right, I'll stop.
Silvio and Dakar went into the cabin to cook the crabs in the pot the Hunty had given them, which fit better over the indoor fire. The rain had intensified, and Gerard had just decided that maybe he should go inside as well, when Felbane rose and walked over to pick at the seal again. Only he never got there. After about 3 unsteady paces, he collapsed. He lay on his side with his back to Gerard, breathing heavily.
This is ridiculous. By the time he lets us get to that javelin, he'll be too far gone to recover. He may be already.
Gerard walked around the fire pit and approached Felbane. The griffin didn't open his eyes as Gerard crouched near his head and touched his beak.
Felbane.
No response.
Is he unconscious? That might be even better.
Gerard brushed Felbane's face and ears with his fingertips. Felbane did not stir. He felt very warm, and he had an odor of wet feathers, sickness, and decay. Gerard moved around to his chest. He ran a hand over the jutting breastbone, much too prominent, until he could slide his fingers under Felbane's right leg. The skin was even hotter there, and most of the feathers had fallen off. Gerard realized that Felbane's body had begun to heal itself, and almost succeeded. The skin had closed over the javelin head, but then the wound had festered and corrupted. Gerard could feel a trickle of pus and just the tip of something metallic. He tried to get his fingers around it.
Too slippery, too much under the skin. I'll need to cut him a little.
But he didn't want to leave, now that he'd gotten this far. He decided to give it one more try before going for a knife. Dimly, some part of his mind informed him that he was being reckless, and he ignored it.
Silvio is afraid of Felbane, and Felbane is afraid of Dakar. I'm the only one who can do this.
Felbane stirred. Gerard had 2 fingers around the bit of metal now, and he was pulling on it, making the wound wider. All at once, Felbane jerked up with an eagle scream. His head whipped around, quick as a snake, and his huge beak closed around Gerard's arm.
Oh, mercy.
Gerard stared into half-crazed yellow eyes. Felbane's throat was throbbing on a snarl. The black feathers of his ruff stood on end. Gerard could feel Felbane's beak tightening on his arm as the griffin assessed the situation and didn't like what he saw or felt.
Felbane?
Said Gerard, trying to keep his voice calm.
If we don't get that javelin head out soon, you'll die. I know it hurts, but you've got to let me...
He broke off with a gasp as Felbane gave his arm a vicious jerk. Bright red began to ooze around Felbane's beak. Gerard remembered that the griffin was accustomed to eating and probably toying with shelts, and also that he'd been mistreated by Grishnards.
If I panic and start thrashing, he will rip my arm off. Felbane, please. I'm trying to help you.
Gerard heard the door of the cabin shut and looked up to see Silvio coming out. He stopped, stared, and then started towards them, not running, but walking very quickly.
Gerard, get to Car. Call her. I can't.
Silvio,
said Gerard, trying to keep his voice even.
Felbane is afraid of Dakar. I don't think...
Felbane growled and clamped down again. Gerard shut his eyes. The pain was becoming intense. He wanted badly to just hammer Felbane over the head with his free fist and jerk his arm away, but he knew that wouldn't work. Griffins had very thick skulls. Felbane's claws would be every bit as dangerous as his beak if he got excited.
Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic.
Gerard, call her now.
Silvio sounded as much like an admiral as he ever had. He also sounded very close. Gerard opened his eyes. Silvio was crouching beside him. His mouth was pressed into a straight line. He looked ice calm.
I need to be able to speak to him, and I can't. Please get to Car.
Dakar!
Gerard shouted in his quarterdeck voice. Felbane snarled and gave Gerard's arm another jerk, but then Silvio put a hand on Felbane's beak. Silvio was crouching beside Felbane's right paw, and Gerard couldn't help thinking that one slash would leave Silvio in bloody ribbons. But Felbane did not slash. He'd cut his eyes away from Gerard to watch Silvio. He seemed confused, curious. His grip lost some of its intensity. Gerard didn't dare move. Silvio put out a hand and petted the top of Felbane's head. He made what reassuring noises he could. And then Dakar was beside them. Felbane's growl escalated, but she put one hand on Felbane's head and one on Silvio's arm, and Felbane's snarl tapered off abruptly. Felbane and Silvio were watching each other. Gerard couldn't hear what they were saying, but, slowly, Felbane relaxed his grip on Gerard's arm, and at last he opened his beak. Gerard resisted the urge to jerk free and run. He didn't want to do anything to startle Felbane, with Silvio crouching between his paws. Felbane turned his full attention to the foxling. He whined softly. Then, to Gerard's relief, he laid his head down alongside Silvio. A friendly, submissive gesture.
All right,
said Silvio without changing his expression.
We're going to get that thing out of him. Gerard, go get some hot water and some rags. There's a pot already simmering over the fire.
And a knife.
You think I'd be here without one? Just do as I say, please.
When Gerard returned, Felbane was stretched almost on his back, his body in the crescent favored by sunning griffins who felt completely safe. Felbane clearly didn't feel safe. He was trembling, but he let Silvio and Dakar stretch his right leg out and look underneath. It was a nasty mess of crusted pus and swollen tissue. Silvio soaked rags in warm water and laid them over the wound for a few moments to soften things up. He cleaned the wound as best he could. Then he slipped his knife out of one sleeve and made a couple of cuts. The knife was razor sharp, and that helped a lot. Gerard fancied the cuts were already made before Felbane even felt them. He gave a hiss and a snarl, and everyone jumped back for a moment. But then he whined and kept his leg in place. Creamy pink fluid was running freely from the wound. Silvio managed to ease his small fingers inside the opening and get a good grip on the javelin head. He gave a jerk, and it slid free, along with a flood of pus and blood. The metal barb was impressive, nearly as long as Gerard's hand.
Well, that's got to feel better.
Felbane whined. Dakar was milking the wound. She continued until it bled bright red.
Now,
She said to Felbane,
you should go swim in the sea. Salt water is good for wounds. If you don't want to, we can pack it with seaweed. But I think it would be better if you'd swim. Every day we should look at it and squeeze out any pus.
Stings,
whined Felbane.
It's good for you,
said Dakar, with a stubbornness that made Gerard almost laugh. At last, the griffin rose and limped off towards the beach. Gerard turned to Silvio.
That was impressive.
Silvio shut his eyes.
Watch me throw up in a moment.
He was breathing deeply, in through his nose and out through his mouth. He crouched and began to wash his unsteady hands in the bucket.
If I were big enough, I'd box your ears, Gerard. I can't believe you tried to do that by yourself.
It was stupid. I'm sorry.
You should be.
Silvio sounded truly angry for the first time since they'd come to the beach.
Let me see your arm.
Gerard had 2 sets of cuts, one between his shoulder and elbow, and the other between his elbow and hand. He could move the arm without pain, and he was primarily unhappy about the damage to their scant supply of clothing. Silvio inspected the wounds with a scowl.
1 moment longer and I'd have cut his throat.
That's what you were going to do?
If he didn't let go of you, absolutely.
Having Silvio angry at him was a novel experience, and brought back memories of the fang. Gerard wondered how long Silvio could maintain it. Not long, as it turned out. All 3 of them came inside, put on dry clothes, and sat around the fire eating crab. Gerard was sitting on a block of wood, and Silvio was sitting on the floor. After a few moments, Silvio inched over until he was leaning against Gerard's leg.
I didn't mean to snap.
I think you had every right to snap. I nearly got us both killed.
Silvio grunted and wrapped his tail around both himself and Gerard's leg. After they'd finished eating, Gerard asked Dakar if she knew any songs.
I know some sailor songs.
That made Silvio laugh.
I bet she doesn't know what they mean.
I bet you're not going to teach her at this age.
Wasn't planning on it.
You want to learn some of Thessalin's songs? She had some silly ones she liked to sing in the rain. She liked these warm spring rains especially. I always told her not to walk in them. She'd get sick. And she always walked anyway, and she never did get sick.
For the next quarter watch, they sang about sea slugs with feathers and 100 ways to eat seaweed, and the day the rain fell backwards. Afterward, Gerard mended his shirt and coat. Dakar taught them both some hunty, and then she and Silvio played her favorite game with shells and bits of stone, until the night insects began to chirp in the wet darkness outside. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated podcast. Artwork for this episode was created by Sarah Cloutier. To view these illustrations and to learn more about this world and its author, visit the website at www.cowrycatchers.com. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell,
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio.
Rish Outfield
As the brothel owner.
Veronica Jaguar
As young Silvio.
R.E. Chambliss
As Dakar.
Tim Dodge.
As Felbane. Sound effects for this podcast were provided by SoundSnap, the Free Sound Project, and Sound Dogs. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is Everywhere, also by Beth Quist. Both were licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 3 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included additional music from Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. And I hope you enjoyed the story.
Sunlight sparkling in the forest, dancing, dancing on the alpine waters. Ride the moonbeam into the galaxy. Second star to the left and straight on and straight on and straight on till river when I find yours gaze.
And I'm back. This is 2025 Abby, coming to you with some thoughts on the episode. So, Flying Island Press. I don't remember those guys. I did a little search. It looks like the last time they published anything was 2013. But you can still find their stuff online. You can find some of their anthologies online. So, feel free to dig back in time or use the Wayback Machine and check them out. This chapter is rough. When I started listening to it, I was like, oh, this one. I don't want to listen to this right now. There's so much overcoming abuse in this book. We will eventually move on to other topics, but that is a big theme in these books. I do feel like the moment when Gerard is able to go back in time and defend Silvio in a way that he never gets defended as a child when he really needs it, I'm still happy with how that element of the chapter and the scene came out. I feel like that's very satisfying, even though Gerard can't actually go back in time and offer Silvio the defense that he so desperately needed from an adult. He can, in this dream, recreate that moment with a better ending. And I still feel like that's a satisfying moment in the story. Then, of course, we move on to the action scene where Felbane finally gets treated for his javelin wound. And as that scene was progressing, I realized a nice little parallel that I don't think I did on purpose. But I wrote these a long time ago, and so I can't remember everything that I was thinking. But that scene where Felbane has been struggling for this entire book with this javelin head that is becoming infected, and he's got an abscess, and it's not going to heal because there's still a foreign body inside him, and it's getting worse, and he's got a fever all the time, and he can't hunt properly, and all this stuff. And so finally in this scene, they lance that abscess, and they get the pus out. And that is a really great analogy for what has been happening over the course of this whole book. These emotional wounds that they are lancing and getting the pus out. And it's ugly and gross and smelly and uncomfortable. That's also what is happening between the characters and in this scene. And I honestly can't remember if I did it on purpose, but I'm happy with thematically how that works together. There are definitely some things in here that I feel like are ham-fisted in a way that if I wrote it now, it would be much more subtle. It would be much more interwoven with other things that are going on instead of being kind of relentlessly awful. But anyway, I have heard from lots of people who are enjoying the story, so I know that people will still appreciate my style of storytelling from back then. And I will see you in the next episode. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Sieber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.